Good afternoon and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center for our Crew News Conference today. I am joined in studio to my left by Crew-8 Commander Matt Dominic, Crew-8 Pilot Mike Barrett, Crew-8 Mission Specialist Jeanette Epps, Crew-8 Mission Specialist Alexander Grabankin, and Soyuz MS-25 Flight Engineer Tracy Dyson. We will be taking some questions from here in the room and through our phone bridge, but before we get started, we will open it up with some opening remarks. Mike, take it away.
Thanks very much, Courtney. First of all, it's a real pleasure and a great honor for us to be here, both as a crew, as some of you know, we kind of enjoy being together, but also with y'all. This traditionally marks an inflection point in our preparation for spaceflight, where we have finished a really brisk training flow, a very busy one, and now are deemed spaceflight ready. And it gives us a chance to pause and to think about all the people, the large community that helped get us and our spaceships ready to go. It also makes us think about the responsibility, the very serious responsibility of running the International Space Station, which the world has built. We accept that responsibility with humility and respect. We will carry a lot of our community with us when we get up there, and we are really looking forward to our respective launches on the Dragon and the Soyuz. So welcome. We would like to welcome you as well. It is not lost on us that today is the day of remembrance. We really thank NASA for keeping this tradition going. This is a chance for us to honor our fallen space brothers and sisters and to really reflect on the purpose of the exploration effort. And it also gives us a chance to affirm that purpose and to muddle forward with determination, with ferocity, with real seriousness. But we do it in a way that relentlessly identifies these risks and manages them to the best that we can. And keeping this day of remembrance ensures that that mindset is baked into NASA's DNA in everything we do. So I thank the agency for keeping this day sacred to us. With that, I'd like to open it up to the floor, and we are here for you.
All right, thank you, Mike. We will start with our first question on the phone bridge from Marcia Dunn with Associated Press.
Hi, I'm hoping you could hear me. For Jeanette, you should have flown years ago on a Soyuz, then you got assigned to a Starliner, now a Dragon. Did you ever think you might never fly? And how did you keep your morale up through all this and manage to persevere to be here today? Thank you.
Well, it has been a number of years, but I was confident that I would fly, and the way that I kept I guess spirits up, you could say, was, you know, we continue to train weekly, daily. We train vigorously for any mission that we're assigned to. So I've been pretty busy over the last few years, still training, still working towards the goal of going to the space station. And, you know, unfortunately, Boeing, I'm not flying on Boeing, but I think that NASA felt that it would be more expedient to get me on a SpaceX and get flight experience. And then we'll see what happens in the future.
Okay, we'll take our next question right here.
Thank you, Mark Carreau with Aviation Week and Space Technology. I don't know if you have any spacewalks planned, but you know that's always drama and something to deal with. But maybe you could kind of summarize that, or if not, maybe there's some other maintenance thing on your agenda that you really want to take care of and put some focus on. Thank you.
Well, I can start that a little bit. Every crew launches spacewalk ready. You never know when something is going to cough up a fur ball on the outside of the station you might need to go out and fix. But more recently, we've had some EVA content added to our mission, most likely. It's still being defined, but that's been the flurry of activity for a lot of us in these last very few weeks. That is one of the things that makes spaceflight wonderful to us, visiting vehicles and spacewalks, and you may know that NASA has scheduled a solar eclipse during our increment as well. So things like this really make spaceflight quite wonderful. But we're looking forward to those EVAs. We're looking forward to getting ready for them.
Okay, our next question on our phone bridge from Bill Harwood with CBS News.
This is for Jeanette. You know, you were one of the most thoroughly cross-trained astronauts in the Corps. I'm not asking you to play favorites, but maybe give us some impressions of what you think of the Crew Dragon, realizing you hadn't flown in it yet, of course, maybe compared to Soyuz and Starliner. Thanks.
Well, I would start out by saying that any space capsule that we can take to space is amazing. So all vehicles, they are different, but they all serve the same purpose to get us to our International Space Station. I would say that each one has their advantages. You know, SpaceX is probably a little bit more spacious. The Soyuz has different types of suits that, you know, just everything is, each vehicle has different aspects that I like. So either one, Soyuz or SpaceX or even Boeing, I'd be happy to take to the International Space Station.
Okay, our next question is here in the room. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. Will Robinson-Smith with Spaceflight Now. Thanks for answering some of our questions. We could go down the line. We would describe a personal memento, something special that you're planning to bring up to station, and why you happen to choose that. Thanks.
Oh man, we're in a unique position where we actually get to take quite a few things, and so they kind of fall into two categories. My first category for me was thank yous, was stuff that you take as a thank you to the folks that helped get you here, right? That's friends, that's family, that's the mentors that just kind of popped into your life at the right time and said the right thing that set you on a new course. And so I'm here today because of those folks, and I'm flying a few things which I'll probably bring up later, or just, you know, those would be secrets for later. And then also things for family, right? And for me, one of those items is a really important part of my childhood was time, fuel, distance, which came to help me later in life. My dad bought one of the watches that went to Apollo in 1970, and he gave that to me a few years ago. And as a kid, I remember we would go on these long road trips, and I would very precisely time the moment between mile markers and sit out there with the Rand McNally Atlas and timing the distances before GPS, you know, and maps. And so I would provide that time, fuel, distance. We got half a tank, we got this many miles. And so now that watch is going to space station and is going to orbit the Earth for me, and maybe I'll time a few things with it.
Keep going down the line.
Mike, go ahead.
Well, I mean, the coolest thing I'm taking to space is these guys, honestly. You know, this is my third flight, and the academic institutions that helped set me on my path, I've flown things for them in previous flights. But like Matt, people who have helped build me, help inspire me, I'm taking mementos for them. And probably the most precious things are just photos of my family. Yes, hardcore photos. Hard photos rather than just digital.
Well, down the line. For me, one of the most special things that I'm taking with me is a photo of my mom. I was selected in June 2009, and 5 days after I was selected, my mom passed away. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her and her work ethic and her emphasis on education growing up. So she was a big part of the reason that I'm here. So that's one of the most special things that I'm taking with me.
Я с собой на борт решил взять также фотографии, это, конечно же, будут из семейного архива.
So I decided to take with me some photos from family archive.
Также есть и часы, и еще кое-какие вещи, которые так или иначе бы мне напоминали о моей малой родине и о моих каких-то предпочтениях вообще по жизни.
And I will also take a watch and some things that remind me of the place where I was born, and things that remind me of some precious moments in my family.
Да, ну и некоторые вещи, конечно, там будут, которые мне будут необходимы для проведения каких-то определенных, может быть, экспериментов, но это уже более такая тема, которую не стоит для данного мероприятия.
And I will also take some things, or I should say mechanisms, that I would use to perform some experiments and scientific activities, but this is a different topic.
Okay, Tracy.
I think for me, the most unique thing that I'm taking is a journal. And that journal flew with me on my previous mission on Expedition 2324. And in that journal, I made lots of notes about what was going on and what surprised me, and most notably the day-to-day activities surrounding the EVAs that I did. And since then, I had been filling it with reminders to myself when I had the clarity of mind and wanted to remember these things when I was up in space. And it's also filled with letters and pictures from family and close friends. And so I think that's about the only really unique thing that I'm taking with me in space. Traveling light.
Okay, our next question comes from social media. The Crew-8 patch is the coolest. How was it designed?
Way to go.
Matt, this is a good one for you.
I appreciate it. It was a team effort. It took some time. I'm a system engineer and thus wrote a very general requirements and passed them on to a great artist who was able to help us put it together. Very simple in nature. One of the requirements is that a central element of the patch shall be removable for like simple logos. And so, other various requirements we put together. Another aspect of the patch is it's really about the team and the international effort. And the patch looks down upon the Earth from the north so that we could capture a view of the Earth that showed where all of us are from. So we capture Siberia and the parts of the United States where we are from, just to show that this is one team moving humanity forward. But other than that, it's pretty simple. The eight is clear.
Okay, our next question is from the phone bridge, Robert Perlman.
Thank you. There was mention of the solar eclipse, and I know last time that we had an eclipse pass over the continental U.S., there was a concerted effort aboard the space station to photograph it and document it. I'm wondering if there has been any talk of special training or special cameras to take up, or how you're preparing for that event in April.
So that is still being defined. We learned a lot with this last solar eclipse, and there have been several actually that we've been able to photograph from both the Mir station and the International Space Station. The big difference now is the camera complement that we have. The imagery will be, I think, much more crisp and we have much more capable cameras on board. So we are still waiting for that. I guarantee you that they will be fine-tuning that plan until the day before the eclipse. But we will stand ready on our very unique platform to capture it the best we can.
Okay, our next question is from the phone bridge from David Curley.
Thank you very much. Tracy, I don't want to invade your privacy, but you talked about your journal. I think it's interesting for an astronaut who's been in space, has come back and contemplated it, and is going back. What specifically you'll be thinking about on this mission? Thank you.
Oh, wow. I don't know how to put that into a nutshell. I think that looking back on the mission that I had before, it was my first long-duration mission, and I was so focused on the tasks that I knew that I had ahead of me. And I think that looking back on that, there's a lot of personal growth that happens when you live in space for 6 months, and with all your other personal life on the Earth happening at the same time. I was newly married, and my husband was in the military, deployed on a ship, and my parents were living in California and going through life, and I just wasn't ready to divide my attention between all three activities. And I think this time I'm going with a little bit more clarity on who's at home, and my husband's not on a ship anymore, and he's at home helping to take care of our family. And so, yeah, just without going into too much personal life, my journal is just full of reminders of my faith and who I serve. It's not myself. It's God, and it's my crewmates. It's this International Space Station and all of the hundreds of thousands of people on the ground that are invested in it.
Okay, our next question is from Gabriel on Instagram. What experiments will you be conducting in space?
There are so many experiments we do. We have multiple centers. We've traveled all over the world, setting up to operate experiments. When people ask, what is it you do? I try to boil it down to something simple. I'm a mechanic, right? I've got to fix the space station when it breaks, and I'm a lab technician. And then third, I'm part of the experiment. I think the most important experiment we're doing as we move humanity forward into the solar system is getting getting more statistical significance to all of the experiments we've done. So I view myself as, in statistics we refer to the number of samples as n. I refer to myself as another n, right? And each n we get into orbit helps us move science forward. An example of one experiment that I'm involved in from the medical side is I won't be using the treadmill on orbit. We have a treadmill, we have a bike, and we have a weightlifting device on the space station. And to me, a treadmill takes up a lot of space, and flying in space, having a mass is a penalty that you have to lift off with fuel and move around wherever you're going. And so a treadmill takes up a lot of space, and there's a hypothesis out there that maybe we could do without a treadmill and only use other devices and still not have bone loss or other impacts. So that's just one example of all of the science we're going to be doing.
Okay, our next question is on the phone bridge from David Denault.
Hey, my question is for the Space Commander, Matthew Dominic. How was it decided? Did you all draw straws, put your names in a hat to decide that Steve Dyson, your flight engineer, would be on the Soyuz MS-25 spacecraft?
Did we all draw straws? No.
Oh, you mean about
how we were assigned? It's like, oh yeah, Tracy drew straws. We all no. That is a task that occurs at the CB chief, or assume about CB. That makes no sense. That's our mail code. We refer to everything here by a mail code for some reason. The chief of the astronaut office, and then above, sit down and find groups of people that they think work well together based upon their diversity of experience. And then one day you get a phone call. So that's about our insight into the process.
And what he's actually saying is that because I'm by myself, that I can't work with him. Is that what you're saying?
I very much enjoy working with Tracy. We trust Tracy to work alone and by herself. I need lots of supervision.
Okay, that's true.
But I want to emphasize, though, that who flies on the Dragon, who flies on the Soyuz is kind of akin to what commuter car you're taking to work. We are Expedition 71, and that is just a couple of days out of a 189-day nominal mission where we're going to be working together up there. So it's a great question, but really it's the overall team that we have on Space Station that really counts.
We're not wearing Crew-8 shirts and 71S shirts.
Right.
We're wearing Expedition 71 shirts for a reason. We're one team.
Right.
Okay, our next question is from the phone bridge from Robert Perlman.
Thanks. It was mentioned during the last briefing that for the Crew-8 launch, it might occur in late February, and that sets up a possibility of making a little history and becoming the first human spaceflight on February 29th. I wonder if you've talked about it as a crew. I know you can't control when you launch, but have you realized that and had any discussions about it?
Thanks. February 29th. I am a leap day sensitive father. My youngest child was born on leap day. So I will launch where we were commanded to launch, and we were happy to do so, but we're going to make sure that's a special day for her. And I think we're living in a really, really cool part of human spaceflight. We're expanding so fast, we're growing so fast. It's a great time to be alive in spaceflight. I was talking with a few folks and flight directors a couple days ago about, could you imagine if I had walked up to you 5 years ago and said, our constraint to launch is launch pad availability, right? You would have thought I was crazy. But we're at a cool spot in spaceflight right now. We've got rockets competing for launch pads. And so you're not waiting on payloads, you're not waiting on rockets, you're waiting on launch pads now. And so you've got two different rockets competing for 41 and 40 and 39. It's just a really cool time to be in spaceflight, and we'll go when we're ready, and we'll go when there's a pad available.
Okay, our next question is on social media from Jaden, and this is for Mike Barrett. She wants to know that what created your passion to cook in austere places, and do you have any plans to cook in space?
To cook in austere places? Well, okay. I work in the international extreme medicine community pretty heavily, and we have a motto there, which is good medicine in bad places. I fully subscribe to that motto, but I've taken it a step further. Good food in bad places. I love to cook. I'm the main cook at home. I have been for many years. That included raising my 5 children, and I taught them all how to cook. Cooking makes me feel human. It is a way to be creative. It's a forcing function to put things together and satisfy yourself and minister to people that you love at the end of the day. For me, I'm also a sailing freak. Making good food on a boat is something I've tried to do for a long, long time. And if I can take a really nice piece of tender beef to the top of a mountain and cook it and make it taste good, that fulfills me big time. We unfortunately don't get to cook that much on station. No open flames. We don't even have a microwave. But I can tell you that there's still a lot of creativity to be had by mixing pouches and freeze-dried foods together. So we will do that to the extent that we can, and when we get fresh fruit up there, that ups our game a little bit. So unusual tacos. A lot of us have front-loaded our game with special foods that are coming up for us. So as much as possible with freeze-dried food, canned food, and military rations, we're going to be creative.
Okay, and Joey on Instagram asks if there are any personal milestones that you will be achieving during the mission.
Going to space?
Well, I will rack up a year in space. That's what I'm looking forward to, and you probably will too, right?
Oh, we mean in cumulative time?
Cumulative time, yeah.
Yes.
We hope not in
I was going to say.
single mission.
What's your plan? I hadn't really thought about that.
No.
My goodness.
All right, well, it looks like we have another question in the room. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Robinson Smith, Spaceflight Now. Thanks for letting me take another one. Question, I suppose, just for Expedition 71, since y'all are training together, have been. Do you have a specific memory of a crew bonding experience that really sticks out in your mind for getting ready for your next mission? Thanks.
Alexander, you want to consider? Какой момент при подготовке?
Я думаю, что рождение экипажа как полноценного единого целого, оно не сиюмоментно происходит, а это довольно-таки длительный процесс.
So I think being born as a crew, it doesn't happen in a single moment. It's kind of a process.
За время подготовки экипажу предстоит пройти огромное количество различных испытаний, тренировок.
And during the training course, the crew passes a lot of tests and exams.
И наступает в один момент, точнее сказать, такой момент, когда ты понимаешь, что ты прекрасно знаешь, когда и в какой момент какой член экипажа как себя поведет.
And at one point, you're starting to understand when, at which point, each of the crew members, what they will do at this moment.
И в этот самый момент ты понимаешь, что ты уже не просто как один работник, который выполняет определенные функции согласно предписанным там процедурам и так далее.
And at this point, you don't feel yourself like a worker that performs a procedure or certain actions prescribed before.
И вот именно, наверное, в этот момент ты понимаешь, что в этот момент рождается уже экипаж. Это как единое целый организм, который способен противостоять любым моментам и работать вместе.
And at this point, you understand that a crew was born as a whole organism able to withstand any challenges or difficulties.
Ну и, конечно же, наступает момент, когда ты абсолютно полностью доверяешь своим соэкипажникам, всем членам экипажа, и это очень хорошо сказывается и на атмосфере внутри экипажа, и на общих вещах, которые мы должны делать вместе.
And at what point you understand that you trust all and each and every one of your crewmates, and you are able to achieve a lot together.
Могу от себя добавить, что я точно знаю и уверен, что мне попался очень хороший экипаж.
And just from myself personally, I'm confident that I'm getting the best possible crew.
All right, well, that's a great note to end on, and that is all of the questions that we have for today. Thank you all for joining through our various platforms today to ask questions. We'll see you next time.